Aloha, friends and neighbors, and welcome to show 887 of Astrology, Ancient Science in the Modern World. We're going to cover the first week in December 2013 when I get to the sky mirror. My message to you here on this show is I'm looking back at what happened to astrology. Oh yeah, 2,000 years of the Dark Ages, the age of Pisces in the church. But, some of it started raising its head again, and especially in the Western world, the British and the Americans, something happened. Now, Benjamin Franklin was an astrologer. Yes, he published an ephemeris, he made predictions. And one of his yearly Poor Richard's Almanac ephemerises, he spoke about this problem of what happened. Basically, he said that 3 of those gifted with Urania's talents went against her, against their better consciousness. And he named them. He named Newton and Whiston and Halley. And he said of the 3, only Whiston really recanted, and then he went ahead and published all these ridiculous predictions that Whiston made on comets about the. I'm gonna give you that on this show. Benjamin Franklin's commentary about the sad age that we live in. And the reason I'm doing it is because, well, one, I was watching Big Bang Theory. I like that show. And one of the nerds made fun and said, "Oh, I bet you believe in crystals and astrology, like we're back at square one, and astrology is back in the superstition, ridiculous kind of box." Well, next I was watching Ancient Aliens, which is hilarious if you substitute, instead of all these gods and Anunnakis, and these are just the planets, and these ancient cultures were always talking about the planetary influence and the spirits of the planets. And anyway, I get a lot of information. I see beautiful scenery and a lot of architecture that's very special. They put on the show. Of course, they always bring it back to, ancient alien theorists contend that the 3 wise men were actually aliens. That one came up. They'll turn anything into aliens, but one of the things they went after was the hollow earth theory. And turns out, bang, there was that name, Halley. The great astronomer Halley, Edmund Halley, who discovered Halley's Comet, was a believer in the hollow earth theory. And he said there was these great openings at the North and South Pole, and the inside of the earth was hollow, and it was livable. So Whiston went a little nuts, I'll show you that. Halley was a little nuts, hollow earth stuff. Newton was a little crazy from all the mercury poisoning he'd taken in his life, and he was a closet alchemist. They discovered one of his books with 1,000,000 words on alchemy, which is all astrology symbols. And so Newton was a closet alchemist who poisoned himself with mercury. And there is a story about how Newton stood up in the Academy. What is that fly? Stood up in the Academy of Science in Great Britain. All 3 of those men were the chairman of that academy. Anyway, there's a story that Newton stood up and chastised Halley for making a disparaging comment about astrology. And Newton said to Halley, "Sir, I have studied it, you have not." So that's all we got. But Benjamin Franklin nailed these 3 guys, and I just learned that Halley, besides just being a dude looking through telescopes, I don't have a lot of respect for that. But they slid in there and took on all the prestige of the astrologer that had been going on for 20,000 years. Anyway, Haley, hollow earth guy, another nutcase. All three of these guys were a little nutty, okay, that Ben Franklin blames for the demise of astrology in this sad age we live in. I'll show you the quote. Come on. That's what this show's about, Benjamin Franklin. Hey, let's take a look at the first week in December and see what the planetary pattern has in store for all of us, huh? Interesting to note, Venus trining Mars and Mercury stepped into the mix. And so we have Venus sextile Mercury, sextile Mars, which is very romantic. You're going to see young folks hanging out, holding hands, smaller kids, younger people in a romantic boyfriend-girlfriend sense, and you will probably feel a little extra horny and lusty during this time. Another really neat thing that's happening is the new moon, December 2nd, trines Uranus. At last, Uranus will have a chance to speak. Been a while. Just a note, there's my phone number. And if you want chart work, if you're a client or you want to do some updates or things, I might be out of town here January. I advise you to get your chart work done now. Give me a call. I'll fix you up. Well, what's the pattern of planets look like now? Well, the sun is in Sagittarius, going towards the middle of Sag. It's not too bad a time, trining Uranus. So here's Mars, trining Venus. Here's Mercury, sextile Mars, sextile Venus. Mars is in Virgo, and Venus is in Capricorn, a goatish, capricious sign. Anyway, the sun squaring Neptune? We might get some truth about some of these phonies and actors. Let's take a look at it day by day, see what's happening. We're just going to run the moon around the planetary pattern. Moon goes around here once a month, and as it does, it makes angles to various things. Now here on Thursday night, about midnight, squares Jupiter. It's too much, can't sleep. Here Friday morning, you know, this is early, this is 2-3 a.m. in the morning, it squares Venus, and I can't get no sweets, no satisfaction. This is not a time for love. Friday morning, no. As you go through Friday, the 29th of November, after dinner, the moon changes into Scorpio right here. And when it does, all the vibes change. First, there's a nice sextile or trine to Neptune. And Neptune is the planet of Jesus. And music and art and bliss and imagination. Yes. So there's a lot of that around on Friday night. And it could be quite pleasant. You know, a nip or two might not hurt. Saturday morning, you're feeling pretty good. Everybody's nurturing. There's a nice sextile to Pluto. We feel powerful, you know, around breakfast, before lunch. New information coming out empowers us. And this Scorpio moon feels pretty good till you get closer and closer to this guy. It's Saturn. Oh boy, getting cold. It's a little tricky because here is the conjunction to Saturn, which occurs here 1, 2, 3, 6. This is about 7, 8 o'clock. And then as the moon goes a little further, here around midnight, it trines Jupiter. And our initial, oh, we got to pull back and be on a budget and be very careful, turns into, oh, we have enough and we get to go and do this. And it feels much better. So this is pretty good planning stage. Start by contracting Saturday night and then expand. And you could have quite a good time here on Saturday the 30th if you're careful. Venus is here Sunday morning
You could get a little bit of her action Saturday night. So this is altogether a pretty pleasant period. Saturday night, Sunday morning. The kids are happy. Stay in bed late Sunday. There's sweets around, if you know what I mean. And enjoy your Sunday, December 1st. It's quite a good time. There's no spoilers here until you get to late Sunday night. And here we are around 10, 11 o'clock Sunday night, and the moon squares Neptune, and there's confusion and delusion. And the actors are all on stage acting out again, you know, and there's drunks around. This is not a time to be out Sunday night. No, not a time to be out. Time to be at home and warm and cozy, huh? So Monday morning, well, part of that is because the moon shifted into Sagittarius right here. And that's, you know, dinner time Sunday. You'll feel the change. It's from the happiness and the got our act together kind of stuff from the Scorpio moon. Once it goes into Sag, it all gets kind of scattered, and you know, everything is moving a little too much. So Sunday night, Monday morning, confusion, delusion. But look at here. Here's before lunch and around the middle of the day on Monday, December 2nd, the sun, the moon, first of all, it makes a nice trine to Uranus. And the electric mind and the Aquarian spirit is alive again. Then there's a nice new moon. Yeah. And this one happens right here. It's around the middle of the day, Monday. It's a nice new moon if you're doing intellectual work, media work, if you want to get away from all the play acting that's been going on for the last month. Now we have a month of intellectual advancement and some respect for ancient science also. So Monday's a pretty good day. I'm going to watch this day kind of careful and really enjoy the change for the next month. Tuesday, the new electric vibes continue. Brotherhood and environmentalism is loose. Look out, you capitalist pigs. There's some anger around here. Tuesday, after dinner, there's a square to Mars, and people are impatient and angry. And, you know, ask yourself what you're protecting. There might be some physical work you could do to maintain things, fix things, clean things up, protect things in general is what you should be doing here Tuesday afternoon and evening. Wednesday, the moon is shifted into Capricorn again, and not again, but we got Neptune empowered briefly, and that happens late Tuesday night. Early Wednesday morning, really, these lines represent 2 a.m. in the morning in Hawaii. So this is just about 2 a.m. in the morning when the inspiration happens. You'll all be asleep. By the time you get up, you try to go breakfast here. Between breakfast and lunch, here's a square to Uranus. Here's the old Pluto-Uranus square. This thing has been making us all nervous and miserable for quite a long time. Here it is again. We have glitches. We have shakiness. We have whirlywinds. It all started here late Tuesday night, but it gets really strong in the middle of Wednesday. And thump the connections, twist the connections on the wires. It's, you know, check the battery connections, and you could be on your way again. But there's definitely glitches here Wednesday. Expect interruptions in your life. Yeah. Here late Wednesday, this is 1 a.m. in the morning, Thursday morning, and we got a nice sextile to Saturn, and we got our act together again. Trouble is there's an opposition to Jupiter. This happens at 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning, Thursday morning. And we got our act together with Saturn. We're on the budget, we're on time, but there's too much. And other people who want too much are in the way a little bit here around breakfast time. Just ignore it. You're in the Venus zone here on Thursday. And all through the middle of the day, the moon's going by Venus. And there's love in the air. And there's a sextile to Mercury and a trine to Mars. And well, here's the Mercury thing. It's gone a little further. Kids are all happy Friday morning. They're still partying, huh? So here's the time for your party, Thursday, and you could extend it. Well, of course, this is Martian time. This might be sports, but it's very lusty and very romantic. And if Romeo, who is Mars here, ever wanted a chance at Venus, well, this is one of those days. And it continues right through Friday morning. By Friday afternoon, here's the sextile to Uranus again, and we've got intellectual freedom and independence and new age thinking and world views. Astrology works. What does that mean to you? What does it mean if astrology works? What if astrology is a pure thing and it really works in the way that your life is truly predestined? Your attitude isn't. Your attitude here comes from spirit, and you can change that. That's free will. So anyway, great information coming in Friday afternoon, and new ideas popping up here late Friday night. I mean, this is 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, and you're getting stuff done, and you're getting people together that feels pretty good. Wait, oh, look out. 2 a.m. in the morning, here's the Saturn problem again. Doggone it. Money, time, scariness, Saturday morning. Moon's in Aquarius. Moon in Aquarius back here after dinner Thursday. And, you know, here's this wonderful Friday of intellectual enlightenment. But Saturday, this Saturn square kind of brings you down to earth again. And golly, we all got to think about money, don't we? For most of Saturday. When you get to Saturday night, the moon shifts into Pisces. And this happens probably 7, 8 o'clock or so right here. And you'll start feeling the Neptune vibes. Now Neptune is not in favor right now due to that last lunation. And so you're going to get a lot of fogginess here, confusion, delusion. The trouble is, Saturday night people drink. And they're probably still drinking here at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, Sunday morning, when the moon goes by Neptune. There could be a lot of acting out. Not only from the actors, you know, and there's a lot of actors on the stage now. It seems half our politicians are gay boys and ladies all being actors. You know, there's the oil industry, a bunch of actors. Here's the drugs and the doctors, a bunch of actors. Can't seem to get away from all these actors. So you're not going to like these bad smells Sunday morning. No. And here's a Mercury square. Can't have trouble talking about it. I mean, some of these folks are so loud, your television is always blaring, take this drug, take that drug. Half the time, the other half of the time, it's lawyers saying, sue that drug company. You know, and the whole thing is just kind of out of hand. The FDA is just finally going to ban trans fats in our food supply. More actors, huh? You got to watch them, especially those that are in the institutions like PhDs and professors. These guys have tenure. Priests in the church, they have tenure, you know, doctors, and, you know, these guys all have security. They've put themselves in a privileged place. And you got to watch them. They're very confident. They're very loud. Look at how loud the whole gay movement is. I can't believe we just spent all that time in our country, you know, legalizing somebody's sex life. I just can't believe that. But you look how loud they all were. If only the legalized pot people were as loud as the gay people, maybe we'd have got some action too, huh? Oh well, one big lousy dream sometimes in this country. Shame to the age we live in. More on that here in a minute or two. But on your Sunday morning, stay in bed late. If you have bad dreams and bad smells, try to ignore them. Kids aren't happy. They're going to wake you up early anyway with the noise and things. And finally, if you're lucky, late Saturday night with the moon in Pisces, it finally makes good angle here to Saturn. Or late Sunday night, excuse me. But even though you get your budget figured out late Sunday night, early Monday morning, you won't be able to get much done. You might be on time for work, but you'll be without inspiration Monday morning, the 9th. It's just the way it is in this December of the year 2013. Shame to the age we live in, said Ben Franklin. Hey, as a lead-in to the Ben Franklin I'm about to present you, this guy, Michael O'Reilly, said the U.S. is Scorpio rising. So I got in contact and said, gee, not many of us doing this work, and tried to gently prod him into the Gemini rising on July 5th. And when, Ben Franklin was there watching over all of this thing, and Ben Franklin, he wanted that moon up on the top of the chart. He wanted Cancer rising, anyway, Ben had the thing set up. Somebody came in late. Well, this fella here, Michael O'Reilly, came back at me and scoffed and said, oh, I can't believe that founding father was an astrologer. That's just ridiculous, and went on his way with a book that leads you astray almost every other page. Well written, lots of astrological knowledge. Pooh. I used to collect books like this. Now I just throw them away. They're leading us all astray. Sun sign astrology, Scorpio rising stuff. Benjamin Franklin. Ben Franklin printed this. Yeah, you can see the dates there. Wow. He was into this 25 years, every year, Poor Richard's Almanac. And he was into astrology totally. Now I want to show you one particular year. He taught astrology in this book. Like here he's teaching you how to read the glyphs, huh? and the angles, the aspect. Here's what Ben had to say in 1751, first page of Poor Richard's Almanac. Astrology is one of the most ancient sciences, held in high esteem of old by the wise and great. Formerly no prince could make war or peace, nor any general fight a battle. In short, no important affair was undertaken without first consulting an astrologer who examined the aspects and configurations of the heavenly bodies and marked the lucky hour. Just an aside, this is 1751. 1776, 25 years later, and Ben is sitting there watching the lucky hour. Now he wanted Taurus rising, with the moon up there in the top of the chart, trining early the morning of July 5th. What happened was some people came in a little bit late, went 5 degrees into Gemini. He still had the moon in the 10th, trining Venus and Jupiter in the 2nd. But the lucky hour had gone by, or we'd all be a lot richer and we'd have a better reputation out in the world. Anyway, Ben was there watching for the lucky hour, and he knew this 25 years before. Okay, now he goes on. Now the noble art, more shame to the age we live in, is dwindling into contempt, is dwindled into contempt already. The great ignore us, neglect us. Empires make leagues and parliament laws without advising with us, and scarce any other use is made of our learned labors than to find the best time of cutting corns or gelding pigs. He says this mischief we owe in a great measure to ourselves. The ignorant herd of mankind, had they not been encouraged to it by some of us, would never have dared to deprecate our sacred dictates. But Urania has been betrayed by her own sons, those whom she had favored with the greatest skill in her divine art, the most eminent astronomers among the moderns, the Newtons, Haleys, and Wistons, have wantonly condemned and abused her, contrary to the light of their own consciences. consciences. Of these, only the last name, Whiston, has lived to repent and speak his mind honestly. In his former works, he had treated judiciary astrology as chimera and asserted that not only the fixed stars, but the planets, sun and moon excepted, were at so immense a distance as to be incapable of any influence on this earth, and consequently nothing could be foretold from their positions. Now, in the memoirs of his life, published 1749, in the 82nd year of his age, he foretells, page 607, of the sudden destruction of the Turkish Empire and the House of Austria, German empires, etc., the popes of Rome, the restoration of the Jews, the commencement of the millennium, all by the year 1766. And this not only from scripture prophecies, this is a Neptune character now, but take his own words, quote, from the remarkable astronomical signals that are to alarm mankind of what is coming, namely the northern lights since 1750, the 6 comets at the Protestant Reformation, and he names these years, and the 7 comets coming up, the annular eclipse of the sun in 1748, who's, wow, and here's the occultation of the Pleiades by the moon. That happens kind of regular, Mr. Whiston. Okay, Ben goes on and on about all these things that Whiston came up with, and finally says that so profound an astronomer as Mr. Whiston is able to see other signs in the heavens foreshadowing the conversion of the infidel. It'll be postponed. But what a one! He really makes fun of this, and wow. So there's Whiston, and now you know about Haley, right? And you know about Newton, and Ben would be. Of course, each one of those guys had a chance in the Royal Society to down astrology, and they did. And you've seen the result. It's, Big Bang Theory people are laughing at astrology. So, Whiston, Haley, and Newton, you're the bad guys. And shame to the age we live in continues.